Bitch, you wanna trap like bitch, you wanna trap like
one final race remains on Saturday night. The championship may already be wrapped on up, but that doesn't mean that there still isn't some last-minute glory on the line. As 150 laps get set to kick off in Madison, Illinois, we'll see who will take that final race win in the TNGG IEL Truck Series. Good afternoon, one and all, and welcome to the show. My name is Ola Rampel alongside Austin Edstrom. We're bringing you all of racing action from the TNGG IEL Championship 200 at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Austin, Aaron Raymond, of course, locked out that championship a week ago with an absolutely monstrous points lead. Now, nobody is able to catch him. He can cruise easy tonight, and now we get set to see who's going to take home that final race win of the evening. Do you think it'll be Aaron Raymond, or could we be seeing a newcomer to the top?
I typically whenever I see somebody lock up the championship a week early in an iRacing league, typically they don't win the last race. So I'm gonna go against the grain of what most people might think, and I'm gonna say Aaron Raymond's not gonna win. I think we're gonna see a surprise winner to an extent. I think it's gonna be somebody that we see up in the top 5 of the points right there. I might be looking at the number 2 driver, Zane Bailey, who's been ridiculously consistent. But I think it's gonna come down to some other guys here tonight.
I have to agree. It might come down to other drivers here this afternoon. Of course, Zane Bailey enters this race second place of the points, only 2 ahead of Scott Rankin. But Scott Rankin not present this afternoon. He has taken his leave from this season, and in fact, probably the series as a whole. It is then about another, 12-point gap back there to Paul Witt. So there is still a battle for second, but it is a little bit of a loose battle indeed. We take a look at who all has win scores this season for some potential contenders. Zane Bailey has got 2 wins on the season. Paul Witt's got 2. Gudger and Greg both have 1 win apiece. But right now, Aaron Raymond, he's got 6 wins out of 15 races in the season. That's it's a tough record to beat, and he is putting down a pretty big argument that he could potentially find himself in victory lane tonight.
Yeah, you're trending close to 40% win rate on the year for Aaron Raymond. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. I got to be honest. That's an absolutely astounding number out of the championship winner this season. And it's, well, no surprise that he is the championship winner with 1 race left to go. I mean, if you get 6 wins out of the year, you're pretty much expected to bring it home unless you see some travesty in some of the other races. Raymond avoided most of that, and he's going to find himself in, well, the championship victory lane after tonight is over.
Only 1 truck currently out on the racetrack, put it down qualifying times. It is that of Jim Duda. We're right on board. He'll take you for a lap around the Worldwide Technology Raceway, swinging it up wide through 3 and 4, trying to set up that strong run all the way down the front straightaway as he hightails it down towards turn number 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of room down between the start-finish line and actually getting down to turn 1, so you want to get as big of a run as possible. You saw Duda do it coming out of turn number 4. Really, really wide entry down to turn number 1, using all of the racetrack all the way down to the bottom. Kind of surprising. I don't do that in the A car. Not too much truck running for me, but the A car, you definitely don't want to get down there. Interesting to see him use it down to the trucks. And maybe missing the bottom a little bit through 3 and 4 here, so losing a little bit of time because he couldn't wrap the bottom of the racetrack, couldn't get back down to the curbing. Still not a bad lap for Duda, and he's got 1 more on offer for us.
Well, that was his second lap right there, and it will be enough to put him up to the 7th spot. So not a bad qualifying attempt. Puts him into the top 10, a place he has been well familiar with all season long. Probably not the exact spot he was hoping for, but it's still well into the top half of the field. 19 trucks get a set to take off for us, 17 of which have put down laps.
Most people putting in their qualifying laps and relatively close throughout the field. Top 16 separated by 0.8 of a second, so everybody all within the same second bracket of each other. So I think we're going to see some pretty close racing up at the front of the field. Your championship winner starting in the 3rd place spot, Zane Bailey, who's had a really good year, up in 2nd in the points, up in 2nd at the start of this race. And Brennan Gregg with the pole, starting it off strong.
Checker flag is going to fly on qualifying, and that, of course, means it is about high time that we take a rundown of how everything is going to line on up for racing action here this afternoon. Let's see who's going to be started on top and who's going to be in the best catbird seat to take a race win on this Saturday afternoon for the final time of Season 5 of the TNGG IEL Truck Series. Started on pole, you've got Brennan Gregg alongside Zane Bailey, a 10th off the pace. Aaron Raymond down in 3rd, Thomas St. Jr. in 4th, Michael Gudger starts 5th, Paul Witt at 6th, Jim Duda 7th, Brad Slagle in 8th, John Buwalda Jr. and John Holliday round out the top 10.
11th place is going to be Brandon Groover with George Rincon on his outside in 12th. Robert Amaro lining up in 13th place spot with Noah Swafford in 14th. Mike Allen lining up in 15th with Zachary Groover on his outside. Ryan McRoberts in 17th with Joshua Jerningan in 18th. And RJ Buchanan is going to round out your 19 truck field.
Yeah, Brandon Gregg actually might be a driver that could put in a stormer of a time here, and actually put himself up as the race winner this afternoon. Putting yourself up a 10th of a second on the field in an oval race, that is a pretty darn big margin, especially when you consider the gap between everybody else throughout the course of this field.
Yeah, a 10th of a second from 1st to 2nd. That's a pretty hefty gap. So is Brennan Gregg just a qualifying monster? Does he have the qualifying figured out better than everybody else? Or does he have Gateway figured out better than everybody else?
It could be both, right? I mean, it could very well be one or the other, and I'm curious to see which one it is going to end up being this afternoon. Brandon Gregg, of course, did compete in last year's race here at the racetrack, and, well, he came close to taking the race win. Unfortunately, he did finish down in 6th after being caught out on the pit strategy, but he did lead a good bit of last year's race here as well. So Brandon Gregg could be a serious contender for the championship here, but everybody's graded on up. We're ready to rumble. Jernigan and Buchanan, the 2 drivers that didn't start times, well, they're not starting this race either. They did not make it to the call. They're going to be starting this one from pit road, if at all.
I'm excited for this one, man. It's always nice to kick a league off into their off season on a high note, and I think we're gonna get that here. We got two different guys up front than what we've been normally seeing running up in 1-2 all season long. Aaron Raymond obviously starting in 3rd, so he's up there close and ready to fight. But man, Brandon Gregg just had such a good qualifying lap that I'm intrigued for tonight's race. I think we've got a good couple of contenders up at the front of the field. There's going to be a lot of strategy. Only 2 sets of tires behind the pit wall for these guys tonight. So 3 total on the evening, 55% fuel. So there's going to be a lot of pit stops, a lot of strategy, and you're going to have to save a set on a couple of those pit stops. So it could really throw this thing for a loop.
Offset tires and fuel strategies is going to really make this race a strategy beast for these drivers to overcome. And we'll see which one of them will be walking away with the final race win this afternoon. Can Aaron Raymond take his 7th race win on the season? Will we see a new winner tonight? Or can Brandon Gregg or Zane Bailey both try to pick up another one to add to the win totals this season as well? We'll see here in just a few short moments. The pace car is into pit road. We enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag's out. It's go, go, go for the final time at Gateway.
It might be go, 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 but our pole sitter did not go whatsoever. Brandon Gregg is losing out to Zane Bailey entering turn number 1, trying to get it back up on the bottom side of the racetrack, but Zane Bailey ripping the outside, looking to take the lead, almost tags the wall, gets a little loose. That's going to let the 27 stay side by side, have the side draft all the way down the back. We got a battle for the lead on lap 1.
Brandon Gregg sanding it in deep into turn 3, pushes off the bottom a little bit, tries to get that truck turned back down. Zane Bailey way to the outside. He's just going to hang on. And Zane Bailey will lead lap number 1 from the outside line. Good show there for Bailey early on. Everyone else in hot pursuit just behind as we file it back down through turn numbers 1 and 2.
Gregg missed his braking zone ever so slightly, drove in a little bit too deep into turn 1. It's going to set him up for a good exit. Has a little bit of a run on the 20. Does he look back down to the inside? Put himself in that situation again where he's side by side with Bailey. He's not going to do it. Just drives in a little bit deeper down into turn number 3, opening the door for Aaron Raymond on the bottom. That's your champion. Coming down, looking for the 2nd place spot. The 27, a little twitchy coming off of turn number 4. He hangs on, and he's going to hang on to 2nd for now, but that 6 is looking down to the inside. He breaks deeper, he breaks later. And he rolls down to the center of turns 1 and 2, trying to take the spot. He's not going to do it.
Aaron Raymond running some very different colors this afternoon, running the Powerade paint scheme this time around in that Chevy Silverado. So 6 with the brand new color scheme, red and black. I like it. That's a striking truck, and it does stand out still up on the racetrack. Brandon Gregg seeing if he can't close in on Zane Bailey. I want to point out that while all this is going on, you did have a moment at the tail end of the field. Somebody did end up, I think, stepping out that back end just a little bit. And that is why we saw Robert Amaro so far back. In fact, Robert Amaro is into pit road with big damage on the left-hand side.
Unfortunate for Amaro to end up, I mean, it's the season-ending race. We're 4 laps in and already basically down and out, coming down into turn number 1. You never want to see it go up and smoke this early. The 26 up on the outside. Maybe just rolling the center of the corner a little bit too good, pushing a little bit too much.
Well, it's all well and good there. There was a good bit of damage on the other side. I can't quite figure out, though, where he may have gotten that damage from. He wasn't going slow enough that it rose any red flags. Oh, right there. Yep, lost that thing coming around through turn numbers 3 and 4. Slid that one out and slammed into the inside wall. That was catching the road course curbing on the inside.
Yeah, you don't want to hit the curbing. You want to get as close as possible to it. Maybe you hear just the ever so slight touching of it, but you do not want to get, the entire contact patch of the tire down there on those things. It is completely going to rip you around almost every time.
Well, the Classic IndyCar Series can attest to that quite well, can't they?
We learned that a couple weeks ago in that long one. I mean, goodness gracious, you just cannot touch it. I think maybe you can get away with it through turn 2. Maybe you can touch that one a little bit, but through 3 and 4 at that high speed, it's just not worth it. There's nothing down there that is advantageous for you. It just rips you around. Aaron Raymond looking to the inside, coming down into turn number 3. He's going to try to avoid those strips. The 27 leaves him plenty of room, trying to get the run off of the corner, playing a little bit of a defensive game. And the 6 is just going to have to fall back into line. Tough place to pass at. Very tough.
It really is. I mean, Gateway is an extremely difficult track to overtake at, and it's made no easier with this new aero package as well, right? We've seen how difficult it's really become to pass at some of the tracks where it used to be quite easy to pass at, like at Texas Motor Speedway, and it's looking like it's going to be the same situation here this afternoon. Bailey's still hanging on to the race lead so far. That number 20 entry has led every single lap so far and has not shown any signs of giving up his lead anytime soon.
Yeah, he's doing good hanging up to the race lead, or hanging on to the race lead. That number 20 up front. It was the reason why he's second place in the championship so far this year. Looking to hang on to it with a heck of a run so far. No, only 8 laps in. Not too far into this thing, but he's hanging on to the lead nicely over the 27, over your champion. Both those guys are racing pretty hard behind him. Obviously, 20 racing pretty hard too. And this is a very heavy tire wear racetrack. I can tell you that from experience. This thing is going to fall off. You're going to be terribly slow, not going to be able to turn, and then you're going to be loose. And it's going to be very difficult for these guys to hang on to it, especially if they push too hard at the early going. And I am a little bit worried for our race leaders that maybe they are pushing a little too hard. Say Bailey's pushing too hard. He's sideways out of 2. Hangs on, but he's not going to hang on to the lead.
I was about to say, so how is this going to pan out? And if this is a heavy tire deck track, with the fact that you've only got 2 spare set of tires in the pit stalls here. Right now, we're seeing Bailey's consequence of trying to push a little bit extra. Brent and Greg driving around the outside line as they battle down the front straightaway here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Aaron Raymond in hot pursuit, and looking like Rainbow trying to pick up that number 3 spot as they work down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. Paul Witt for 3rd, Raymond to 2nd, trying to make a run for 1st now on Brent and Greg.
And Duda took 5th from Gudger. Terrible, terrible turn of events for Zane Bailey, who goes all the way back to 4th. Greg, the beneficiary, up to 1st, but Aaron Raymond is breathing down his neck coming down to turn number 3. The 27, maybe just overdriving the corner a little bit. If he gets it down to the bottom, takes that clean air away from the 6. Maybe you wear out his tires. Maybe his right front tire just falls off that thing after another 10 or 15 laps. Running up just a little bit too high through 3 and 4, letting the 6 get that air on the left front tire. Doing it again down into turn number 1. He's just kind of helping the 6 out, letting them get side by side, letting them not burn up the tires as bad.
This time by, Raymond's got that inside look down to that turn number 3. Trying to hang that one all the way around to that bottom lane, but Brennan Gregg has got a momentum run established around the top shelf. Can he get it done? Down the front straightaway this time by. Gregg trying to hang on, but Raymond still at the door as they dive into turn 1 for the 12th time tonight. I think Brennan Gregg could very well hang on to this.
He's going to. The 6 is loose. Coming out of 2, the bottom side of the exit of turn number 2. Very difficult to get the power down without sliding that thing out. Racetrack just falls away from you. There's a hump coming out of the corner. Very tough corner. But again, the 27 is just overdriving the entry of the corner ever so slightly. The 6 is able to get lower. But make him get on the curb. Run all the way down there on the curb. Make him make a mistake by trying to drive a little bit too low. And get that curb in play with him. But man, he's just giving him the clean air at the bottom.
He's going to do so again in turn number 1. I think right now Brennan Gregg is utilizing that little bit of extra transitioning lip off the top of turn 2 to help him carry that momentum down the back straightaway. So it's really allowed for him to keep that gap out where it is at the moment. You also have some battles going on a bit further down in the field. Taking a look back to George Rincon, Brandon Gruber, Noah Swafford. They're also in a pretty fierce fight for 11th through 13th. So there's quite a few battles on the racetrack, and among those, side by side in the mid pack.
Yeah, a little loose. I've been fine with what Greg's been doing at 1 and 2, running a little bit higher. It's okay. That's a narrower corner. The radius is a lot smaller, so it makes sense to run a little bit higher. Through 3 and 4, you got to be down there on the curb. But yeah, like you said, mentioned it further back in the racetrack, back in the back They're still racing hard back here for just outside of the top 10. George Rincon in 11th. Brandon Gruber trying to run him down. They run just as hard for the 10th place spot as they do for first. I mean, they will bully each other out of these positions. We saw Noah Swafford get loose coming out of turn 4 a couple laps ago. These guys are pushing just as hard as the guys up front.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, it's going to be a little while to see how all of this is going to be panning out throughout the course of this race. And don't forget, 55% on the fuel tanks as well is making it no easier for these drivers to try and get themselves sorted up at the head of the field here. Fuel window estimated to be about 30-ish laps thereabouts. Last season it was about 25 to 30. This season they have extended those fuel limitations just a little bit more. So I'm anticipating between the 30 and 40 range, we're going to be seeing these drivers coming down the pit road. Not ideal when you've got only 2 sets of tires that you have to use throughout the race.
Yeah, you are. That's putting them in such a tough position. You are absolutely not taking tires on your first pit stop. There's no way you can justify it in my mind if you can only make it 30 laps. So you're gonna see a lot of fuel onlys, I gotta imagine. But man, a lot of these guys are struggling. I'm seeing a bunch of people pounding the fence out of turn number 4 in the top 10. I'm telling you, these guys are starting to struggle.
See Rincon looking to the inside to the outside of Brandon Gruber. Gruber trying to make a pass, can't quite get there. The front pack starting to extend out a little bit, but this back pack is really condensing. You saw Ryan McRoberts get to the back end there of Mike Allen and nearly pushed him into Noah Swafford. So it's getting hot and heavy back here at the tail end.
Yeah, not a lot of separation back from, 11th on back. Everything up at the front starting to separate. The 2 leaders are really close to each other. Paul Witt's not letting him get too far away, but other than that, it's pretty all over the place up front. Back in the back, they are all packed up under each other, all fighting to get into the top 10. I mean, they're all on the back bumper, basically a holiday. They're all within a second and a half, except for Gruber, who's one of the Grubers, who is a little bit further back, I should say.
Yeah, that's Zachary Gruber, the one that's further down in the field. Brandon Gruber is the one that's just in front of Swafford here.
The Grubers always catch me off, man.
Well, their team is literally 2 brothers racing.
I get it, and that's why it's tough. Like, when do you ever hear of 2 Grubers and it's like, oh, they're brothers? Oh, it makes sense. Man.
Oh, that's not.
Last name?
I had one league once. There were 4, not Rutherfords. They may have been 4 Rutherfords. There was a lot of Rutherfords in the field.
What in the world?
And
that's a weird one.
It was wild. Let me tell you what, it was a wild time.
Into Rutherford. Who gets into Rutherford and Rutherford spins?
No, I kid you not. That is pretty much what it was like the entire time. But folks.
Aaron Raymond. Aaron Raymond just about went spinning through 1 and 2. He got too deep on the brakes, tagged the back of Greg, and he's just about lost it out of 2 again. Paul Witt's looking to his outside.
Paul Witt to the outside of Raymond. Aaron Raymond in that Powerade Silverado trying to get him back, but right now, Witt with a strong move around the outside line. He's going to go high, then low, try to pick up some momentum down the front stretch. He's got to run. I don't think it'll be enough, though, to get him by the time they get down to turn 1, and it will not. He'll stay in line. Aaron Raymond hangs on to second just for now.
Raymond's just been driving in so deep down into turn 1. He just had to do it again. Paul Witt now looking to the inside. Raymond overdrove the corner. The 429's looking for second, and Brennan Gregg is scooting away.
Gregg pulling out a sizable lead in front. Here goes Witt to the inside of Raymond. For a lot of this race, we've seen Raymond on the inside, and doesn't look like he has that same pace on the outside as Paul Witt gets one around him. But how about that? Raymond getting the drive around the top shelf, takes the spot back. Beautiful move there from Aaron Raymond to hang on to second.
Oh, Paul Witt trying to get to the outside, drives it in way, way, way too deep. He's just going to have to regroup and get back in line. Losing a ton of time to Raymond there.
He lost a good bit, but he'll get it back. If anything's to be said, he is not going to be giving this one out without a fight. Ryan McRoberts has also been trying to improve his own standing at the back of the field. He's got Mike Allen tucked up right in front of him, and now McRoberts trying to make that pass down to the turn number 3. Sends it down the inside of the 29. But I think he entered a little bit too shallow there to make that work.
When do we start to see the green flag pit stops? When do we start seeing them come down? Do they only take fuel? Do they take 4? What do these guys in the back do? They're all bunched up on top of each other. You might see some split strategy decisions back here, and maybe see a couple guys put on 4 fresh tires trying to get some track position. We need to look at the fall off on lap time so far just to get an idea of like whether it's worth it at this point. Fastest lap of the race for Brendan Gregg, your race leader, 33.85. He's fallen all the way off to a 35.38. He is a second and a half off of the pace of new tires. So I don't know. I'd be tempted to take the tires even though you don't have many sets.
It's bad, the tire fall off here, especially over the short run. It's almost crippling. And oh boy, we're looking for 3 wide. Noah Swafford had enough waiting around, looking inside of George Rincon. I thought Brandon Gruber was going to try to make it 3 wide around the outside line. And they will get it single filed out. Not quite. Brandon Gregg still has the, or Brandon Gruber, sorry, still has the running around the top shelf. And now Swafford back to the bottom of Rincon. He's really trying to make that move work out of turn 4. His problem, though, is he's too aggressive off of that 4th turn. Almost every time he gets loose, and it is costing him big time.
Yeah, it's such a good run through the center of the corner, and I think he's just putting a little bit too much gas in it, and it's coming out a little bit wide, a little bit too much wheel into it. Just letting the back end step out. I think he's just got to settle down through the middle of the corner. Because you see him through the middle of the corner, gain, and then at the exit, he basically gives it all back up. So 26 maybe just needs to clean that up a little bit, and he'd be finding himself up into the top 10 because he's beating on the door of it anyway. Had a pretty good line through the corner there, but again, look at how wide he comes out of the corner compared to everybody else.
He really does come off that corner a little bit wide. You do have to wonder how much that is impacting that number 26 machine as he drives it into turn numbers 1 and 2, working around to the back straightaway. Brandon Gruber just behind. You've also got Mike Allen still in the mix.
Well, we got to talk about too, since we're looking at a pretty green race right now. We got to talk about the pit entry. Off down on the apron at turn number 3. You got that access road that leads into the grass. I can tell you from experience, it's not the easiest pit road to get onto. You can definitely slip a little bit, brake a little bit too late, and find yourself skating through the dirt. And I think we're going to have a lot of green flag pit stops tonight, so I might be a little bit worried about the pit entry here.
Yeah, no kidding. There is a lot of opportunities for pit road mishaps. There were a few of them in last season's race as well. It's not an easy pit road to get onto by any stretch of the means. You're talking about a very narrow strip of road that is perfectly flat. You're coming in at pretty high speed for a racetrack like this. It's going to be a wild ride. And the problem as well, if you slip up and touch the grass, you're pushed all the way out to the racetrack, and all of a sudden you either have to go around or come to a near stop to get back down to the pit road.
Would it even let you come back down to pit road, or would it be illegal if you slid off all the way to the track?
It lets you, but you give up so much time that it almost isn't worth it.
Okay, that makes sense. You'd rather get back up to speed and do another lap. Well,
if you can. It depends on where your fuel numbers are at.
Well, and it's a little nerve-wracking seeing all these guys still all up on each other. Everybody from 9th on back, man. I mean, it's within 2 seconds. These guys are all packed up. If they all come down on the pit road at the same lap because they're all pretty similar on their fuel numbers, it's going to be even more difficult to get it wound down perfectly coming down there. If one guy, I don't know, 3rd in line just breaks a little bit deeper than 2nd, we could see a little bit of a bowling situation with these guys all tucked up, line of stern.
You're not kidding. There is a lot that these drivers have to be worried about in regards to pit entry, but we're about, what, a 5th of the way in? So they've been doing a good job of keeping it clean so far. By this time, we had already had 2 yellow flags in last season's race here. So I've got, as I say that, Swafford catches the outside wall,
Nolan.
but
Nolan,
I've got some faith.
Stop jinxing
that we
it.
should be able to make this race relatively green.
Stop jinxing it.
It's fun, though.
You're scaring me.
I actually have an actual ban at the track now from saying rain. I have an actual ban at the track. I am not allowed to say it unless I'm making an announcement that we've canceled for rain.
You can find some synonyms. Thunderstorm.
I just
Tornado.
say precipitation.
Water falling from the sky. Is your jinx that bad?
It is. It is that bad.
Oh.
Jim Duda coming down to pit road right as the pit window opens at lap 31. So Duda will be the first one in. Now we'll see where everyone else comes in as well. Paul Witt will be in with him.
Did you see how gingerly he was on entry?
Yeah.
I mean, he was so slow on the entry of that come around. Obviously, they gas it up at the very end whenever they kind of get back on the straight a little bit, coming back down to the braking point to get down to pit road speed limit.
Are those stairs
I think
back
they
there?
used
Can
to
you collide
hit.
with them?
I think they used to be able to be. They used to have a collision box, but I think they took it away.
I mean, I'm looking at that. That looks like really bad design to me on behalf of the track.
It is.
Like, why would you put that there?
Well, it's temporary for the track, but I think
Right.
iRacing scanned it while it was out there.
Oh, okay. So they don't usually have. Okay, if that's out there for the race, that's a really bad move.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like that's what were they thinking? But pit road's a busy place right now. Drivers coming out while drivers are coming in. Oh, Raymond!
Oh, Raymond
Getting into the door of Holiday.
I think he missed him.
Did he miss him?
On my end, it looks like he missed him. No damage on the 6. That was some pretty slick moves there. And he's not losing too much time to the 27 coming out.
Right now, everybody else slowly but surely making their way out of pit road. Still a few that have yet to come in. Notably, we're waiting for Rincon, McRoberts, Swafford, and Zachary Gruber. Looking like they are all going to be coming down this time by as well. That should complete the pit stop run. Oh, that looked a little hot there for McRoberts. I'm not sure if he made it down to pit road speed in time.
I'm going to go back and do some investigative journalism. He looks to be okay.
Fuel only for everybody else except for Mike Allen, the Team Alpha 1 driver, taking one of his sets of tires early.
Wow, okay, so at least somebody's going a little off strategy. You're going to have to wait to see how quickly he comes to the field. I think it's going to be pretty daggum quick. I mean, we're looking at just about 2 seconds of fall off already. He's 23 seconds back because he took those tires, but man, he's going to be flying.
Yeah, fuel only for everybody else. So right now, Mike Allen is the only driver. Mike Allen is the only driver that took tires. The problem is now he is, he's got himself with a bit of a run out in the front. This is not ideal. So we'll have to see how this one's all going to pan on out. But right now, we'll see how everything's going to pan on out. So for now, the racing action looks good. Let's take a look at what happened to John Holiday here, coming down to the pit road, and Aaron Raymond. Watch Holiday, left side of your screen to the 9. This was close. Ooh, he did just miss him.
Would he have faced through him there because Holiday was in the box?
It would have been marginal. I feel like he probably would have, but I wouldn't want to take that chance.
Yeah, I get why you didn't. I feel like they would have been okay because Holiday was coming out of his box and was still in it. But I don't know. It would have been borderline. Probably a smarter move not to do it. Of course, Raymond already got the championship locked up, so it wouldn't have been too terrible for him. But still wants to end off this season on a high note, win his 7th race of the year. That would put him at just about 50%. I mean, my word.
So 37 laps down into this race out of 151. Right now, closest battles on the track is Rincon and Brandon Gruber. This is the fight for that final spot inside the top 10. Overall, this race going quite smoothly, I have to say. This has been uneventful would be probably the best way to put it so far. Not too much has gone on. Nothing awry for the pit stop run. Let's talk a little bit about the future for this series, right? I mean, it's big. This is the final race that the TNGG IEL branded is going to be on the truck series. From here, they're changing it to the Sim Racers Association, SRA, as we see Brandon Gruber taking to the inside of Rincon, trying to make that spot. Doesn't look like he'll be able to get in there, though. But it's going to be big. They're bringing a lot of new series on. Of course, the Super Speedway Blitz is currently active right now, recruiting for next year's Truck Series season. The trucks, they don't return until January of next year. They do, though, have a new straight stock series that these guys are going to be trying out, seeing how it works. That starts up in October, so about a 3-4 month break just about. for the field. And then we're back for some good old short track racing action, except for the first race, which is at the Charlotte Quad Oval.
Yeah, baby. It started out with a super speedway. I like to hear it. Hey, man, I do those Ricky Street Stock races around Charlotte every time they come around. They're fun. Can't wait to call them. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna have a lot of yellows in that one, I can tell you right now.
Absolutely. A lot to be excited about for sure, though, coming on up. They don't even know yet if they're going to be using themselves with any kind of they don't yet know if we're going to be even using heats or just a straight shot format. It'll be interesting to see how all that's going to pan out. But for now, one more race to go. You can see all of that SRA branding right now on the side of Mike Allen's Team Alpha 1 machine. It does look good. They're moving away from the sort of like orangish color scheme to a more blue and red.
Yeah, I like that paint scheme. That's pretty sharp. I got to point out, though, Michael Allen, he's the one that put on the tires, right?
He is.
He's losing time to the leaders. Are we sure that he put tires on?
I'm not 100% sure, to be completely honest. I mean, he was in the pits for 14 seconds, so I'm assuming he did. But, I mean, you never know. I mean, sometimes this track ain't your track, right? And, I mean, hey, he didn't qualify very far up front. He hasn't been running very far up front all day today. He was one of the, he was in that second salvo of trucks that came down to pit road. I think he very much could just be struggling with the track.
And that's to be expected, to be honest. Gateway's a track that took me a long time to understand at all. I still suck here. I mean, this track is a beast. It is a very, very difficult place to get around. So, very technical. You got to be very, very patient with your inputs. It's a tough place to hit all of your marks and get it right lap after lap. So maybe that's what we're seeing out of the 29. I think that's a good point that you brought up. How about Brendan Gregg, though? Continuing to stretch the lead over Aaron Raymond as this tire life has gone on. You know, they pitted for fuel earlier. Tires cooled back down so they could get them back into a decent temp. And, well, Gregg has started to pull away from Raymond. He's doing a hell of a job pulling away from our championship leader. Raymond trying to play with a lap car here. I think Groover might be on tires because he was trying to come through but made a mistake through 1 and 2. It's going to hurt Raymond's lap time even more.
Second and a half currently over Aaron Raymond, well, between Brendan Gregg and Aaron Raymond. Right now, you've only got Zachary Groover a lap down. Everybody else still out there and on the lead lap. Zane Bailey and Jim Duda, the first battle that's down in this field, about 0.3 of a second separating them. You do have Rincon and Groover both starting to catch up to John Buwalda Jr. They're not only about 0.7 of a second behind. They've been battling this entire time as well. So Buwalda right now dropping off on pace.
Yeah, in races like this, you really, really start seeing who the good long-run drivers are and who maybe struggles just a little bit to keep the tire life going. Buwalda starting to struggle here. We've gone 44 laps on these tires. We said you got to get to at least lap 50 before you change them. And well, Buwalda is struggling coming up to that 50-lap mark.
You have to think that right now Buwalda could be regretting not taking those tires on this pit stop run. But again, it's so difficult to decide if you want to take that fuel-only stop now or wait until later because, of course, you have to take a fuel-only stop at some point. I do think it is overall a wise move to take that stop early on so you don't have to worry about it later on.
Hell, I think you have to take 2 pit stops where you don't take tires if this thing runs green the entire way. I'm pretty sure you're probably going to pit at lap, what, 60 for tires? Was it? 1 second. I can see it exactly whenever we pitted beforehand. Yeah, about lap 30. So you got to think we're pitting at lap 60 for tires. So you're going to have to save 1 more time. I don't know if you, maybe the very next pit stop you take tires again, and then the last pit stop you just take a splash of gas. That's probably the right strategy to do. Or you could kind of split it into thirds, and instead you come down and pit on lap 50 for your tires. And then take them again on lap 100. That way you're splitting the tire life evenly in 50. So I think there's a couple different strategies that could come into play.
You're not wrong. The strategy game is a real game here this afternoon, and we've been talking about that already a good bit throughout the course of the afternoon. So right now, it's all the waiting game to see when these drivers are going to be back down at the pit road, and we're probably only about a dozen laps or so. We're seeing these drivers back down to pit road for the second time tonight.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Like I said, maybe some people peel off a little bit early, take those tires a little bit earlier than what they were originally planning on. But for now, everybody looking like they're just going to be riding out on the racetrack. These two just cannot sort it out whatsoever, can they?
No,
I mean, my
they
word.
cannot.
George Rincon and Brandon Groover have been swapping lines, not really swapping positions, but just like, I mean, they're just running absolutely different lines through the corner. Groover's doing absolutely everything he can to try to find a way past, and it's just not been able to do it. Driving in a little bit too deep down into turn one, trying to cut back and just can't get the run off the corner. They won't go away from each other.
How much do you reckon this is a new aero package, and how much do you reckon this is just nature of the track? Because I can't say this is unfamiliar to races at Gateway.
That's a tough question. I mean, it's so tough to pass as is. The dirty air's already been bad. I haven't gotten to do any races in the new truck, as Groover's finally looking to the inside, not gonna be able to do it. So I don't know. I don't know if the dirty air's worse than what it used to be. I think we might be seeing a little bit of that so far. I think it's been a little bit harder to get your nose out and actually make a move. So I think we could just be seeing the dirty air hurting this new truck model a little bit more at these flatter tracks. Kind of just conjecture, but I mean, it's just been so tough to pass. I mean, the 41 looks faster than Rincon, but hadn't been able to do it.
That was a big problem at Texas the first time these guys rolled out that new aero package. Somebody could be visibly faster, they could just push all the way up, but the second they got within about half a second or so, they would just stall out. They could not do anything. Brandon Groover kicks out the tail end, and he could very well drop off this battle pad. Looks like he's burned his equipment up. Mike Allen now trying to catch up to George Rincon. He's been saving a lot of those tires, so he could very well have himself with a bit of a run here. Remember, still on fresh tires as well, but this is again the problem that I was talking about. It's a product of that dirty air. You can get all the way out there, but once you actually get there, you just can't go anywhere. Like, there's just nowhere to take a run or a momentum drive at the 1.5 miles. And we may be seeing some smaller byproducts of that here tonight at Worldwide Technology Raceway. And Allen able to make quick work there of Rincon, but that again is only because of the fresh tires. You saw how we caught him in turn 3, couldn't go anywhere, even though he had fresh tires.
Yeah, it was still a difficult pass until we got down to turn 1 and 2. Whenever you kind of slow up a little bit more, maybe you can utilize that rear end grip that you've got with the newer tires to get a better launch off the corner. Down to 3 and 4, it's very, very difficult. Zane Bailey up towards the front in the top 5. Hanging on to 5th from Jim Duda. But yeah, that 29's finally starting to pick up the pace on a lot of these guys. Some of these guys are starting to struggle, and that 29 still has the tire life. He's pushing at this point, getting himself into the top 10. So Michael Allen's starting to fly. Zane Bailey just trying to hang on to 5th.
The first drivers came down to pit road on lap 31, so we are less than 10 laps away from the second run of stops starting to be carried out. Strategy game about to get even bigger. Now we'll see if anybody will go for a triple stint on these tires for one more set, or if they're going to come on down now, take the fresh set of tires. If you're going to be in for a splash go at the end, though, I would just take a second fuel-only stop right at the end.
Yeah, it's probably the smarter play just because you're cutting out so much time, you know, not putting in a full tank of fuel. Like if you shortcut it at any point, it's tough to know in the moment. You know, you haven't actually gotten to go out there, have practice. It's not Gateway week. It's not like you've been able to practice this in a real race scenario. So it's just a little, you're kind of flying in the dark. You don't know exactly what the best strategy is going to be. But we're seeing most of the guys pulling out the, run it as long as possible. Run the full tank, or the fuel tank dry. And at the end of the second stint on tires, you take the tires.
There's no real downsides to doing that this early in the race. I mean, we're less than halfway out. I don't see any reason to alter that strategy just yet. I know some drivers might disagree, and they might be the correct ones. But for me, at least, I think that's a good call. Just run it out dry and deal with the fuel as it comes. Especially as this race looks more and more to be a caution-free one.
Yeah, it definitely does look to be a caution-free race, doesn't it? It's not really had much spice to it. Groover, he's finally gotten past George Rincon, and he's trying to make it 2 for 2, putting himself up into the top 10. He's gotten past both of them. Bawada dropping out of the top 10, back to 11th. Finally, Groover's been able to get past these guys. He's been trying for like 40 laps.
Now we'll see if he can run away with it. And that, I think, will really put into perspective if he's been held up at all by any of this.
Aaron Raymond's pitting in, but he's through the grass.
Raymond on a pit entry and a botch one at that. Coming in hot, trying to make sure he gets down to the pit road speed in time. Take a look.
He was already 3.5 seconds back from the race lead. This is only going to hurt him. Trying to undercut him to be able to put on tires to gain an advantage for a few laps, but he just overdrove the pit entry, slides it through the dirt, didn't lose a ton of time, but, well, I say that, that's a good, probably second or two that he's putting out there on the racetrack, if not more.
And he is going for tires, so Aaron Raymond going to be taking at least right sides, and I'm anticipating left sides as well. There it is. So the Powerade Chevy Silverado will be out on a full set of 4 fresh Goodyears. He's coming down pretty early for that. He was one of the later drivers that came in on the last stint, not the first.
He's just trying to undercut on tires, and I get the purpose. You're trying to gain some of that time. He was 3.5 seconds back off the race lead. So he's trying to just get back up to the race leader, but that pit entry completely screws the strategy. Greg can stay out for another 2 or 3 laps if he wants to, and he'll still come out with the race lead and 3-lap fresher tires. And at a track like Gateway, that's huge. I'm telling you, after 10, 15 laps, he will be far and away better than Aaron Raymond, and there will be nothing Raymond can do about it.
Ryan McRoberts driving around the outside of Rincon. He's going to pick up the 11th spot. Got the run out of turn number 4, made the drive down the front straightaway, completed it down in turn 1. So McRoberts up to the 11th spot. He is currently +6 on the day. Second most gained. The driver that's gained the most, Mike Allen. Slight asterisk on that one because, of course, he is on fresh tires, and we are now in the middle of a pit stop window. Brennan Gregg, your race leader, to the lane.
Yeah, and he almost did the same thing. Coming down into the pit lane entry, he put 2 tires onto the grass, but it just did not suck him off into it like it did Raymond. He was able to keep it down there, didn't lose too much time. Going down for his pit stop. Gonna have to really pay attention how big of a difference there is between him and Raymond out on the racetrack after he gets back out on the racetrack. Raymond's got 2 laps of tires. He's finishing up his 3rd lap, so the 27 should have a 3-lap advantage over Aaron Raymond coming forward. And, well, if he gets out in front of him, if this thing runs green, I like the chances on Brennan Gregg.
Paul Witts, the next one to take it down to pit road. He's pitting in from the number 2 spot.
Oh, it's close. Raymond's coming out of 2, and Gregg is coming out of pit road exit. I think Raymond's going to get him. They're going to be 3 wide.
Out of pit road, down the back straightaway. They're going to split Noah Swafford and Aaron Raymond, put up to the net race lead, but how long will that last now that Gregg's got fresh rubber behind him?
Yeah, that's a big question. It's tough to say for sure exactly how long he can hang on, but it's not going to be for the rest of the race. I can tell you that 27 is going to fly by him. It does suck because he's going to have to deal with that dirty air, so you can't just completely run him off behind Raymond. You got to pick and choose your spots, but I do think that it's only a matter of time before he gets back by the 6. But Raymond's at least feeling okay right now.
That's quite the move down to the turn numbers 3 and 4 there for Aaron Raymond. Talk about gutsy. He made that move, licked the stamp, sent it around the outside. Good show there for Raymond. That's Brennan Gregg. Will be hanging on to the net P2 spot now. Gregg's got a lot to help him out here. Yes, he's got dirty air for Raymond, but also they're fighting through a lot of lap traffic right now. That helps them out big time here, or at least helps Gregg close in the gap.
Well, Gregg's looking to the middle. He's trying to put it around the outside. Aaron Raymond, he puts it on his door into 3. Raymond slides up on entry. The 27's going to rip it around the outside. Oh, there's a lap car right in front. He squeezes Gregg into the fence.
Brennan Gregg gets squeezed. He's going to fade down low. That's Ryan McRoberts that got in the way. And now Gregg all the way into the back bumper. Might have thought about the bump and run there for a brief moment. Gets the over-under down the back straightaway in the run. down towards turn numbers 3 and 4.
He didn't quite have it, though. Couldn't get the side draft off on the 6. Just going to have to fall back in line, build that run up once again, trying the outside groove, trying to get the clean air, cutting it back under the back bumper, coming out of turn number 4. Can he get the run? He's got the draft. He's all over the back bumper. I think he can peek out before we get down to turn number 1. Can he get the move done?
He's going to try it. Sends it in deep, but drifts off the bottom lane. I think that might be game over. He's still trying his darndest, but Aaron Raymond with that outside charge, I don't think he can be beat.
Him. He just gives him a little bit too much room down the straightaway. I feel like he could slide draft him just a little bit. Able to keep him down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Brendan Gregg flowing down on the bottom. He's going to be side by side coming up.
Still a dead heat as they work down to the start-finish line. Bailey, Gudger, Duda, Bowalden, McRoberts all through pit road. Gregg still fighting it out with Aaron Raymond for what we believe to be the net race lead. Right now, the 3 cars in front of them still have yet to stop.
Oh boy, these guys are not pulling any punches. Gregg has just not been able to do it. I feel like he's been going it. Oh man.
We may have we've had an
might
incident.
have been an entry wreck, yeah.
Yeah, Brad Slagle looking like he's had a problem, but we'll wait for this to settle itself out first before taking a look at all that. This is a big battle here. Oh no, that's Allen! Oh boy, Mike Allen way to the inside of Aaron Raymond. Really pinched him off, gave Brendan Gregg a huge amount of room. Mike Allen, one of those drivers that doesn't exactly have Raymond on the Christmas card list.
Oh boy, he really did squeeze him down into the corner, didn't he? He didn't give him much room. Oh, Brendan Gregg gets into the back of Raymond. Raymond catches it. Gregg's still looking around the outside. He's got his right rear. Coming down the front straightaway, he's going to side draft him all the way down. He's got the preferred groove. Raymond gives him a hip check.
Driving it in. Now he goes to the top side. That outside line has been better for defense all night long. Gregg takes the spot. He's back to the race lead.
Oh boy, and what a run he got out. Raymond got a little loose. Brendan Gregg with the newer tires now in the clean air. You got to think he's going to scoot away. They've got 6 seconds to the next lap car. That 27 is looking good.
That was a great battle we had there for a moment. Take a look at what happened here to Brad Slagle. This is on pit entry. Trying to come down, and I think he just, got in too hot, carried too much speed, loops the back end, spins it all the way around in the 052. Doesn't hit anything, although Thomas Lane Jr. had a bit of a scare when he saw that coming up on him.
Yeah, Lane couldn't quite go as fast as he wanted to down on the pit entry, so he loses a little bit of time, but saves his truck. No yellow flag flying for a guy spinning down off of the racetrack. So we're able to stay green, keep this long green flag run going that we've had since the beginning of the race.
This has been a good race, hasn't it? I mean, there's been a lot to talk about so far this afternoon, and all of it has got to do with strategy. Raymond's shown, though, that even with that mistake, the undercut is very much a viable strategy here. And you got to wonder if that's going to make Gregg second-guess his strategy for the next pit stop run.
It might make him second-guess it for now, but over the next 20 laps, I think he's going to realize that he made the right call because he's just going to stretch this lead out. He's already stretched out to 0.6 of a second. Raymond is pushing just to hang on to the back bumper of the 27 and unable to do it. So I think Gregg is going to like the strategy whenever it's all said and done. Maybe the next time you don't let it happen. Maybe you pit in the lap after, so you still have newer tires, but you come out in front. But other than that, I don't think that it needs much of a change. Just maybe a little bit of an alteration and still pit after him. But so far, so good for the 27. It's looking like it's going to be a Brendan Gregg victory if this thing stays green. We're not even halfway, so it's hard for me to say that, but it's got all the makings of a green flag race.
So far, there's not been a whole lot in this race except for that thrilling battle for the race lead and Brad Slagle looping it around on pit entry. We're going to take ourselves a step back here, closing in on halfway. Still caution-free. 6 remain on the lead lap and 16 in the race overall. We'll be back in a moment on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Tonight's race and the entire season has been brought to you by Network Alliance for Veterans. NAV is a program that informs veterans of programming available and services throughout the northeast area of Indiana. Network Alliance also looks outside of Indiana for extra benefits and programs, along with benefits for veterans and their families, all while promoting programs on the NAV side, such as Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, and the Fraternal Order of Eagles. Cecil Ross networks with other organizations, such as the Women Veterans Alliance out of California. And lastly, the Network Alliance of Veterans YouTube channel contains live stories and podcasts, along with advertising various events and benefits. Still on the green flag conditions here this afternoon from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. We've been following this battle for 10th ever since we cut to commercial. It has been a tight battle, and it has not been one that has gone away. There has been a few spots for position, but never anybody able to get out in front of it.
Yeah, Ryan McRoberts trying to hang on as John Bellata and George Rincon have not let him get away. Michael Allen's just a little bit further back as well. I mean, these guys are just consistently going at it, right? I mean, they do not stop. The 11th place position changing hands. Maybe Bellata on the outside hanging on. Rincon trying to get the run off, but he just got a little squirrely coming out of turn number 2, loses the run. Can he keep his nose in there? Coming down to 3, Bellata cuts him off.
But Rincon does have enough of an overlap to make that spot happen. So Rincon into 12th. Oh, but he gets loose off 4. Here comes Allen with the fire back around the top side. And Allen's going to get it done. Now, critically, Michael Allen on that last run of pit stops took tires. He is now stuck on those tires until the end of the race.
Yeah, he's hoping and praying the caution flag does not fly. I mean, he will be a sitting duck and will finish in last place if it does. And even then, I don't think this is the right strategy. He's going to have to run these tires a long time under green and hang on to them for what, 70 laps? I mean, that's asking a lot. Hell, more than that, he put it on lap 66. I mean, he's asking these tires. Ooh,
almost 100.
He's asking these 85 laps, man. He's asking these tires to go 85 laps. That's a lot.
It is. It really is. It's a huge margin, and one that I think he'll be regretting by race's end. It does make you wonder, was it intentional to try and take tires? I don't think it was. I don't think he meant to take both sets of tires. It seems like such an outlandish strategy. I can't imagine why you would want to take that one on purpose.
Maybe he accidentally took tires on the first pit stop, so he just had to kind of go with the strategy that was put in his hands. I don't quite know. Man, he's way wide into turn number 1, trying to make the move on Bellata. Having a hard time getting by even on the new tires.
Well, while this battle gets set to shake on up, and while we are waiting for the next run of pit stops to kick off, as Aaron Raymond will make his way down and into pit road for his 3rd pit stop of the night. Coming up on Green Flag TV, the High Tide Racing League has their 15th race and the last race of the regular series season at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The top 12 will be reset for the playoffs. The Beer League has one final race coming on up on June 26th at 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time. It's their second to last race of the season. And then on the 29th, the VSCA Sports Car Championship will be out at Road America for the JRT Summer Sprint. That'll be at noon Eastern Time, 2 hours and 40 minutes around that beautiful 4-mile circuit in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Going to be a phenomenal race. That track never want to disappoint for multi-class racing.
And we have a classic IndyCar race on Sunday too, don't we?
We do. It's at the Brickyard Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Edifice Grand Prix. And that'll be at the road course for 85 laps.
Oh boy, man, we got a lot of racing this week on Green Flag TV. Can't wait. It's going to be exciting to get all those in. Green Flag, the Beer League getting, what, you said the penultimate race of the season. Always fun whenever we get to watch the Beer League, and obviously the 2 on the weekend. Those are exciting as hell every time they come around, and they're both going into over a month-long break. So be sure to catch their last one before they take their summer break.
Still nose to tail in the fights for 11th, 12th, and 13th. Working around for 60 laps to go this next time by.
Our race leaders coming down to take gas.
Brandon Gregg into the lane. Slamming on the binders. Aaron Raymond took fuel only on that last pit stop as well. So we'll see if Brandon Gregg will be doing the same or if he'll take his second set of tires.
I feel like in this stint, you just get it down to as soon as you can make it to the end of the race, you run your fuel tank as far down as you can to get to that point. And as soon as you can make it to the end, you come down and you put on that last set of tires. Who knows? Maybe we see people take tires on this pit stop, run a little bit different of a strategy. Wouldn't be surprised to see some people trying it. Brendan Gregg, race leader, he's not going to be one of those. He's just taking gas. I'm going to look back on Aaron Raymond to see if he did the same.
Aaron Raymond did take fuel only on his pit stop, was only in the box for 8 seconds, less than Greg was. Ryan McRoberts, the next one to come down to the lane. So one by one, more and more of your field trickling back down and into the pits.
Second to last pit stop. These guys are getting them done. Coming down the pit road gingerly there for McRoberts, making sure not to make a mistake. Getting on the pit road nice and clean. Brendan Gregg is super clean up front, 4.5 seconds. He's got over Aaron Raymond for what will be the race lead after all these other guys pit. Still gotta wait and see on a little bit of the strategy. Does anybody take those tires a little bit early? Obviously, we were talking about Allen a little bit earlier, taking them with 80-something laps to go. That's a little too early. This, however, I could maybe see this working out. Taking those tires now, getting the track position, and just trying to hang on.
Paul Witt, the next one to come on down to the lane of the 429 Toyota Tundra, making that stop from a podium position, and in fact from the race lead. Michael Gudger now picks up the lead, but it'll only be a temporary race lead at that. Fuel only again. It's looking like fuel only is going to be the call for everybody. I think they're taking the strategy that you called out. Go until you can make it to the end and then just pit one more time.
Yeah, as soon as you can make it on gas, go ahead, take those last set of tires and let them rip. I mean, you do that just in case that late race caution comes out. Because if you put on the set of tires now and a caution comes out, man, that strategy would really be screwed. You'd have 20 laps on your tires, so everybody else gets to come down, put 4 freshies on. That would hurt, but we're seeing nobody really go for that strategy. Everybody's just looking like they're going to take fuel only this stop, not really do anything too fancy. The only guy way off strategy is just that number 29, Michael Allen. A little bit too far off of strategy, I think.
Thomas Lane Jr., the next one that comes down and in towards pit road. So we got more drivers making their steady, slow entries down and in. It's interesting, right now we're seeing drivers coming in more one at a time as opposed to all in the big salvo as we did for the first 2 stints. And this is a byproduct of all of these strategies starting to kind of break apart. As you see various drivers on their own fuel-saving, tire-saving strategies and whatnot. It does make for very compelling pit stops, and it does extend out these pit windows a good bit more, and makes it so sometimes some drivers, they might not have to go as long on a full tank on old tires.
Michael Gudger coming down, he's taking that fuel only stop. And I don't know, if you get down to this point, this last stint, 50 laps, I feel like you could take the tires here and pick up a lot of spots. You'd get a little bit more time on them. Just watch Michael Gudger, one of the latest ones to come down pit road. He's doing it, he's taking the tires. He's gonna take a fuel only stop, and it's gonna be a shorter pit stop on the next time around.
So far, Gudger the lone driver on 4 tires, and he'll lose a spot to Zane Bailey as a result on the racetrack.
I like it.
Rincon and Allen still have run to the battle of their own. They are still yet to pit. Right now, Brendan Gregg has already come down to pit road. He is back up and into the race lead. Right now, Brad Slagan in 4th, the furthest driver up that has not stopped.
Yeah, Slagle's still out on the racetrack. Kind of hoping for a caution flag to come out as the 052 of Brad Slagle. He'd pick up a lot of track position if it did. Be a very fortunate turn for Brad. But this race, again, it's got that green feel to it. It's been green all 98 laps so far, and man, there's not a lot of side-by-side battles that we've seen tonight. So I'm really pulling for that green flag all the way. I feel like that's the way it's looking. John Buwalda Jr. down pit road.
Buwalda into the pits. Here comes Allen and Rincon, still side-by-side. And Allen going to pull out the move there over Rincon as the good Weiser Motorsports driver got a little bit loose coming off of turn 2. Allen driving it in deep around the top lane, trying to see if he can keep that 20 behind. He got a fresh driver, driver on fresh tires in the form of Noah Swabber behind him. Swabber just trying to unlap himself from these 2 drivers. He is on some fresh good years, and he is trying to see if he can't battle his way to the front. Oh, sorry, no. My mistake. He is on old rubber. He's just in front of these drivers because, remember, he had already come down pit road.
All right, so Gudger, he's 12.5 seconds back from the race lead, and he's about a second and a half faster than your leader. So I think he's going to run down Brennan Gregg by the time Gregg comes down pit road. And Gudger will have the race lead, and he'll be on the defensive for the last 30 or so laps.
This is going to be an interesting finish, I feel. I mean, Michael Gudger is not a driver that we've seen at the front too much this season, but he could very well try to see if he can net himself with one of his first race wins here this afternoon. So meanwhile, Brennan Gregg crossing the start-finish line, getting set to take 50 to go next time by.
Gudger's got to be careful because you can't push too hard, right? If you push too hard, you run out the new of those tires a little bit too early, and whenever you do have to go on the defensive, you're just not going to have anything to defend with. So he's got to be careful. You don't want to completely destroy these things, but you do want to get up there and get that race lead before that last little round of pit stops, because you know Gregg is going to take tires on the next one. So you'll get a little bit of a gain on him. He'll have to sit in the box for 14 seconds. You're going to have to sit in it for what, 4 or 5 just for the gas? So for Brennan Gregg, you're going to get a little bit of a gap even after the pit stops. Just save those tires. Don't hurt them too bad. He's just naturally going to run down Brennan Gregg. This is adding a little bit of intrigue to the end of this thing.
Paul Witt, the next driver, going to be under fire from this number 64 Toyota Tundra. Whoa, boy, Holiday catching the outside wall a little bit there down the back straightaway off of 2. And now Gudger right there looks for the inside, and like Paul Witt is standing still. Gudger gets through and onto the podium.
Yeah, he's flying. I mean, absolutely moving. The last lap, it was 1.3 seconds that he gained over your race leader. This time by, looks like we're looking at 1.1, so he's over a second faster lap after lap versus Brennan Gregg, and that's just going to continue over the course of the next 20 laps, because Gregg's got to go to the point to where he can come down pit road and make it to the end of this race. And that's with what, 30 to 35 laps to go? So Gudger's got 15 laps to run him down, get a little bit of a gap and make the moves on him. I'm loving this from Michael Gudger. This could, I don't want to oversell it, but this could just very well be a race winning move.
Six seconds the distance. We'll see if he'll close in. While we're waiting to see if that gap is going to close in, focusing a little bit more on the future of TNGG and, well, I guess it will be SRA, the Sim Racers Association, and that good old Street Stock Series. Let's talk about the usual suspects you can expect to see for a Street Stock Series, right? You got Concord, you got Langley, you got the Nashville Fairgrounds, you got North Wilkesboro, South Boston, Southern National, USA International. There are a couple of big name tracks in the short track scene, like Bristol and Iowa. The two big tracks, though, New Hampshire Motor Speedway midway through the season and Charlotte Motor Speedway to kick off the season. And this is running weekly from October through to December. October 5th to December 14th, there will be no breaks. So about, what, a 12-race season there? It's going to be a wild series of weeks and some really good tracks, I feel, for a Street Stock Series.
That's a dang good schedule, honestly. That's the first time I'm hearing it. That was a lot of tracks that I like hearing about putting Street Stocks around. That is going to be super fun to call come the fall time. Look at Paul Witt around the outside of your champion, putting himself up into the podium. Hell of a job by Paul Witt. What in the world? 429 coming up through here, putting himself back up into third after Gudger stole it away with strategy. Raymond got crazy loose off of 2, you can tell.
Oh,
with
yeah.
how far off the pace. My word.
Yeah, you have to imagine. I mean, not even. I mean, it looked like he was almost down low, and oh, he caught the wall. Big hit into the fence for Raymond.
Oh, that's a power slide. Oh, man. What a save, though, to be honest. That should have been a lot worse. That nose was just about to completely crumple into the outside wall. Was able to make it a right rear hit first, maybe scratch into the right front. Not as bad as it could have been, but still losing that podium spot.
Still only have 6 trucks on the lead lap. 7th through 13th are 1 lap down. 14th on back are 2 laps plus down. At the end of the race that we had last season for this, there were 18 drivers in that running. Guess what? 6 on the lead lap, 2 finished that 1 lap down. Then 2 laps, 4, 5, and 6 laps down. 13 on down, DNF from that race. But again, 6 trucks were on the lead lap at the end of the last race here, and we got 6 on the lead lap for this race. I feel like we got our drivers that are going to be finishing on the lead lap.
Michael Gudger. Michael Gudger's there already. I mean, he has caught Brennan Gregg so quickly. And they've still got another 10 or so laps that they've got to be out on the racetrack that Gudger's going to be pulling away.
See the
he gets to take a shorter pit stop, man.
See the closing rates here down through the corners. You saw how much he reeled him in, 0.3 of a second just to turn 1 alone. Runs him down and then looks to size him up. And sneaks down the inside at turn 3. Michael Gudger takes the LSU Toyota Tundra to the race lead.
I mean, what a strategy call. I know it might not work out perfect. There's still a lot of time left in this race, but I think he's going to at least get a second place out of this if it runs green the end of the way. And it's looking like it's going to be close to win this thing. He's going to continue pulling away from Brennan Gregg. This is incredible. Out of Michael Gudger, I'm loving it. I was talking about the different strategies that could come into play. I was talking about this being one of them. Gudger was the one to do it, and he's making it work.
Boy, I love conflicting pit strategies. It makes a race so compelling, especially one with long green flag runs like what we've got here this afternoon. And again, we're not too far away from more green flag pit stops. We're thinking, what, 20 laps, give or take? 10 laps, and we'll be opening it up to be able to make it to the end.
Well, I think that everybody that still has a set of tires left are going to come down immediately because you want as many laps on those new set of tires as possible. As soon as the pit window opens, as soon as you can make it to the end, you're coming down pit road, you're taking tires because you've got to run down Michael Gudger, who's on a different strategy. So, I mean, I don't know, if you can make it 34 laps, you're going to come down with 34 laps to go. I don't know the exact number, but I think it's somewhere around there. So, Gudger's still got a few laps that he can put in that time and really stretch out that lead over Gregg, and he has got to do it. He's got to get this as large as possible.
Thomas Lane Jr. Oh no, there's the yellow flag! And it's Aaron Raymond that's wrecked it! And that has just thrown Gudger's strategy into a burning dumpster fire.
Yep, everybody else gets to come down and take the tires, and Gudger is screwed.
Oh no.
Man.
Well, that's the strategy game gone. Now that said, the rest of this field, they won't be able to make it on fuel. They'll have a splash and go yet as well.
Well, you say that. I think this just turned into a fuel mileage race. I think we're going to see a lot of savers.
You're not wrong.
I mean,
except for Gudger. Gudger for sure can't make it.
Well, I mean, he's going to come down pit road and put gas in it. But, I mean, after everybody comes down and puts gas in it, I really think we're just going to be in a fuel mileage race to the end. We might see some people not race that way, but we're going to see some people off the back of this pack going way slow, trying to save laps of gas. Weird it happened out of 4.
That's a hard hit into the inside wall.
I expected out of 2, but not out of 4.
He's lucky these guys didn't hit him. That was a good avoidance from all of them.
Did everybody stay out?
No, Paul Witt didn't. He is in. He is.
Whoa, I can't believe most of the leaders stayed out.
They're trying to make it on fuel, I reckon. They're trying to push it.
Well,
See if they can stretch it to 31.
I feel like you just got to come in now because you're going to have to take tires on your pit stop. Paul Witt's putting on his tires now, and he's just going to have a splash and go.
Paul Witt.
The guys that are coming down right now are on the right strategy. I don't know why you wouldn't pit if you had the set of tires left.
Zane Bailey is also going to be putting on his tires, it looks like. Jim Duda will be doing the same. So a few drivers coming down to the pits. Gudger, Gregg staying out. Gudger, I'm not surprised to see staying out. You heard Raymond feathering that throttle all the way to 3 and 4. He was really losing that truck a while back, all the way through the corner. He just thought he had it gathered up when he didn't.
Yeah, that thing was gone for a hot minute. It was gone for a while. So just about no saving that one for Aaron Raymond's up brake, but he's got the championship locked up, so he's not feeling too bad.
Caution number 1 out on the speedway. We're going to take a step back, and when we return, it's the restart on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Lights out aboard the iRacing safety truck. We are 1 lap left to go before we go to Green Flag Racing once again. 35 laps will be the distance. Is that enough for these drivers to try and save the absolute heck out of the fuel tanks for a good chunk of the field? The answer will certainly be no. Paul Witt, Zane Bailey, Jim Duda, along with Rincon, McRoberts, and Swafford, going to be trying to go the distance.
We'll have to wait and see. Even if they can't go the distance, a lot of these guys put on tires. If you came down pit road, you put on tires, you're going to be flying by the 2 guys up in the lead. And your pit stop's going to be shorter because you don't have to take tires under it. So I'm loving the strategy from the 429 to 20. Duda back there in 5th. I think that's the right strategy to be on. We get a late race caution, though, and that gives the 27 a free pit stop. Then maybe it flips the other way.
35 to go. Pace truck is off. We'll enter that restart zone for the final time. Green flag is up in the air. Well, I say final time, it might not be. We'll see how this restart pans out. We're back to racing, though. Aaron Raymond immediately pulls the inside of the back of the field, while Gudger trying to drive around the long way from Brennan Gregg. He's going to clear for the lead.
Yeah, Gudger still newer tires than Gregg, so he's going to be able to pull away from him. It's all about, can Paul Witt get up here to these guys? You got to think Gudger is a sit and duck later because he doesn't have any more tires to take. Can he get away while his is still okay? Zane Bailey completely misses turn number 3. He's going to lose a couple spots. Paul Witt hounding Gregg for second.
Paul Witt, one of the few that came down for fuel under that last pit stop run. Trying to see if he can't go to the distance. He's going to look to the inside of Brennan Gregg. Powers the inside of the 11-11 machine, and looking like Paul Witt will easily pick up the number 2 spot.
Yeah, Paul Witt on the inside, driving in deep. He's on the newer tires. He's going to be able to get past Brennan Gregg. Paul Witt's now setting his sights up to the front, up to the lead. Michael Gudger's got it for now, but Paul Witt's coming for it.
A lot of side-by-side battle here in the mid-pack. It's looking like a high-speed pace lap right here in Madison, Illinois. Double file all the way down Rutherford with a mixture of drivers that are different laps down. Oh, boy, and among those, look out! Slagle steps it out. We're 3 wide down the back straightaway.
Oh, Bawada was getting sketchy back there, too. Everybody able to sort it out a little bit coming down into turn number 3. Rincon trying to look 3 wide in the middle. McRoberts on the outside, Slagle on the inside. Slagle slides up across his nose. Almost contact between the 2. Rincon hits the binders. Slagle able to hang on. Bawada flying around the outside, trying to take it from both. Somebody in the fence a little bit further up. It's all kicking off back here a little bit mid-pack. Everybody fighting to get maybe on the little, everybody fighting for that lucky dog spot, I gotta say.
Brandon Groover, the one that side-slapped the outside wall, coming off of turn numbers 3 and 4. They're still 2 abreast. all the way down the back straightaway as they look to hunt this move down into turn number 3. Gudger hangs on up the road. He went Duda, all staying in line. And right now, Gudger has got himself with a good run, while Paul Witt is on fresh tires, waiting to pounce.
It's top between the top 3, and I gotta say, I'm a little surprised out of the pace of Zane Bailey a little bit further back. Is the 20 the one saving tires, or saving gas out of all these guys that's trying to cut out a pit stop, while he's saving the 429 is looking to the outside of the race lead. You gotta think both these guys are gonna have to come back down the 429, trying to get the lead before that pit stop cycle comes. These guys pushing hard for everything they got at the end. The 64 just trying to hang on the older tires. Not able to do it. Paul Witt's going to skate by for the race lead, and Duda's looking for second.
Jim Duda trying to hunt down the inside line of Michael Gudger. Gudger hanging on for that number 2 spot for the time being, but Duda's not going to be one to be denied. Jim Duda into second. He and Paul Witt now run 1-2, and they're now in a fuel mileage battle to the end.
I feel like you had to have been saving from the very beginning to make it work, though. Oh,
Witt couldn't make it!
He's coming in early. Oh, my word. Coming in for the splash of gas as soon as he can. I'm a little surprised to see him do it this quick.
He couldn't make it. That doesn't spell good for Duda.
That tells me Zane Bailey is saving. I think Zane Bailey is saving to get to the end of this thing. He has been dropping back from the beginning of this thing, still dropping off the back of Duda. Over 5 seconds, now just about 6. Look at that time skyrocket. I don't think he's pushing that 20 very hard whatsoever. He's getting passed by lap cars. I think Bailey is saving. He's trying to make it to the end without pit.
Yeah, that's why a lot of these guys in the back here have been so close. Bailey's a cork in the bottle for a lot of them. They have not been able to make an easy time on trying to get around that number 20 truck. There you see Rincon getting by, Swapper getting by, but Walter trying to get around Brandon Groover to get by. It doesn't look like he'll be able to make anything out of that mess. There you see Brandon Gregg pitting in as well. So Brandon Gregg we knew couldn't make it. He did not pit under that caution.
And Paul Witt, he's over half a racetrack behind Zane Bailey. And that's what we think might be the race for the win since Bailey is saving so hard. I mean, I've got no idea who's going to win this race. This is fantastic.
It's just how we like to see it, right? That constant question, who's going to win this race? It's always a question we'd like to see. Michael Gudger, we knew he was going to be coming down to pit road, and this is right about on cue. So Gudger is now into the pits for his final stop of the afternoon. Brandon Groover is coming in. Brad Slagle is coming in.
Well, and Dude is still pulling out, still out on the racetrack, and he's got a 9-second lead. Does he start saving? Do you start punching the clutch if you got a 9-second lead and you know the guy in second saving? No, you don't. You come down pit road. Here comes Duda.
Oh, boy. So Jim Duda couldn't make it. Here comes Zane Bailey to stay out. Bailey now has the lead by darn near half a lap.
Well, and you know what? This could be a great play from Bailey just in the fact of if a caution flag does fly, all those guys that just came down did not take tires, except for Brennan Gregg. But now he's behind all those guys, so he's got to come through them. And he doesn't have that much newer tires, so it's going to be difficult. So if Zane Bailey, even if he gets the yellow flag, that's going to be good because then he can save under the yellow flag and make it to the end, and he'll still be on equal tires as all these guys, if not better because he had been saving gas the entire time. So even if he can't make it to the end under green, he might just be one caution flag away from having this thing locked up from just keeping the track position off of the yellow flag.
There's Paul Witt, your second place runner. There's Zane Bailey, the race leader. I almost never see a gap extend that far out between first and second place. Less than 10 laps off of the restart. I mean, that is absolutely insane. Brandon Gregg right now is pushing. He just set the fastest lap of the race.
Greg also on the newest tires. Zane Bailey is clutching into every corner. So I know he's saving heavy. It's just, can these guys catch up to him in time? Greg having to take the tires. He's over 30 seconds behind. I don't think he can make that up in 25 laps. Bailey just put on those tires 10 laps ago. Yeah, he's saving, but I don't think he's going to be giving up that much time to Greg. And all these other guys, they're on equal tires as Bailey. Looking at Paul Witt, 18 seconds back. I mean, is Bailey going to be giving up a second a lap? I don't think so.
Yeah, he's giving up more than that right now. He's giving up about a second and a half a lap.
Oh, no.
I mean, he clutches in right as he reaches the braking point, and he holds that clutch in all the way around until well after he'd be fending that throttle to get back onto the power. Watch in particular here coming down to turn 1. Watch that red line there, right about 6,000 RPM. Watch it how quick, how soon this thing drops off before turn 1. Well, he braked normally that time, so I think he realized how much time he's losing. He's starting to try and pick that pace up just a little bit more, trying to manage that gap. But 23 laps and you're saving fuel like that, that's a long time to hang on.
It's going to be tough for him. It's going to be so difficult. He clutches it a little bit longer down into turn 3. More of an open corner that you can let the car rotate for as long as possible in, so it makes sense. But like you said, he is losing over a second a lap, and that's going to cost it. That's going to cost him the race unless, like I said, the yellow flag comes out. He's going to have to pick up the pace ever so slightly to hang on to this one.
This entire field, because of that run of pit stops, has been completely broken apart. There's almost no battles on the racetrack. You got McRoberts and Rincon 0.7 of a second. Then you got Holiday and Buwalda about half a second, and that's it. Everyone else is over a second apart because of that latest pit stop cycle right off the restart.
Yeah, it's really spread out the field. It's allowed for a lot of the strategy play to come in. We're all sorted out for the rest of this thing. It's just about whether that caution flag flies. Does it throw another wrench into this thing? Does it save Zane Bailey on his fuel-saving quest? Does it hand the win over to him? Hand the track position over to him with a yellow? Just there's a lot of questions to be answered on this one still, and even then, if Bailey can't hold on to the lead, Witt and Duda aren't too far apart from each other, and Duda has newer tires. He has 3-lap newer tires than Paul Witt. In second, he's only a little over a second back, so Duda might be the one in the driver's seat.
I'm speechless. I mean, talk about a dramatic way to start to close out a season. I mean, this is going to be nuts coming down to the end. There's not a lot of this race left, but it's going to feel like an eternity if you're Bailey.
I was in a tire-saving situation at Gateway a couple weeks ago where I ran, I couldn't even tell you how many laps under green, just saving every single lap. And it is painful around this place. It does not feel good. It is not fun. You know you're slow. You can feel it. You can tell you're just losing so much time down into the corners every single time, losing a little bit on exit, which is just so huge with these long straightaways. It's a tough place. Tough place to get it done lap after lap, time and time again. Zane Bailey's doing it decent right now. That gap was cut under a second that time. Paul Witt only gaining 0.8, so maybe, just maybe, their tires fall off earlier than Bailey's, and that could be his saving grace since he's saving so hard.
Aaron Raymond leaving pit road, and is that damage? That's damage on the nose, and he is slowing. That truck's done. He is, I think, just blown the motor on that thing. I heard a crunch. I didn't think anything of it, but that tells a different story. That truck's coasting with no power.
Yeah, he's got nothing behind that thing. Not the way the champion wanted to go out in this season. But sometimes racing's not fair. Doesn't end up the way you want it. This time, Raymond having to just coast that thing down to the access road, and that's going to be it. His championship season done and dusted.
Hero to zero. Finished second place in North Wilkesboro. Won his second his second title going back-to-back with season 4. And this race, he's not even going to see the checkered flag. That's got to sting for the defending champion.
At the end of the day, though, it's not the end of the world for him. Like you said, defending champion, right? Defending 2-time champion now. So Aaron Raymond obviously going to hang his hat onto that. A little frustrating to come coasting down to pit road, but hey, it's just a really slow victory lap.
Sure, we'll say that. I'll play along.
Zane Bailey's picking up the pace too. Paul Witt only cut that lead by 0.7 last time by. It's not becoming such a done deal like I thought it might have been.
Oh, right there off of 4. Second he tried to shift up.
He is not going to be a fan of turn 4 after today.
Oh, trouble!
Oh, no.
Caution is out! Groover and Allen getting involved.
Well, there's the caution Zane Bailey needed to make sure he can make it to the end. He's not coming down pit road. He's just been gifted this track position.
Oh, boy. I said spice in the water today.
Oh, man. Well, I got to point out, I had said Duda's tires were newer than Witt's. They both pitted under the caution to take tires, so I take that back. His are not newer. But you do have to look back at Brennan Gregg in 5th. He does have about 10 lap fresher tires than all these guys. Got to look out for him on this restart. You see, just getting together down the front straightaway there. 29 right rear him.
Yeah, it looked like Groover cleared himself. I mean, Allen was off the wall, but it looked like Groover kind of pushed up and off the bottom to kind of cause that. Let's see if we can get a head-on angle. That might tell a better story.
Zane Bailey's coming down pit road. What? What? You couldn't save enough gas off of this caution? What in the world, Zane?
Safe rather than sorry, I guess. That's a tough break, but there you saw.
Oh, man.
There you saw that speed. Take a look at this one from the air. Yeah, this'll tell it here.
I think he got right reared. I think he got right reared.
Could have been both. I saw the 40 tracking up. I saw the 29 moving down. Could have been a little bit
whenever you're already that far off the wall, you can't move down more, is my thing. If he was right next to the wall and just moved down a little bit, I wouldn't be so hard about it. But, yeah, that's... He was too far off the wall already and still turned left.
It was drifting up, but not egregiously so, and they both slide to a stop on the front straightaway.
Exactly. Look at how much room he's got to his outside. And you're still coming down? No, that's on 100%. You don't have to give him all the room in the world, but you can't give him that little.
Nasty look for the both of them as they go into the inside fence. Rincon is into the pits. Obviously, Groover's into the pits. Raymond is done for the night. Paul Witt takes up the race lead.
Couple shockers coming out at the end of this thing. I really thought Bailey was going to be able to make it with the yellow. I really did. I can't believe that he did not stay out. Even if he couldn't, wait out for one more. Maybe one more happens. You got the track position, keep it.
We'll have 13 laps to go, probably a dozen when we go green. We'll see here. And we're going to go one more.
Some long pacing sessions whenever you get a couple lap cars into the mix, huh? Always adding on that extra lap. Places like this, it can be a little bit much. The pace laps do take over a minute.
Racing incident. The word from race control on that one. That's an interesting one. Let's try and take another look. We'll slow this one down extra here. Try to, there we go. It's not the best, but it'll do. You can kind of see, I mean, Groover, they kind of both got into each other. I mean, Groover was coming up a little bit. Allen was going down a little bit. They kind of come together.
Groover wasn't coming up, but whenever the car on the outside is not tracking up to the wall, it's on the car on the outside, especially if they're going to turn down left even more. You cannot leave that much room to the wall in oval racing, and it does not matter. That's not how you race ovals. Coming off the corner, you don't hang on to somebody's right rear, and you don't turn left down the straightaway whenever you've already got two car widths to your right side that you could use. So I hate to be hard on Allen, but I gotta put that solely on Michael Allen on that one.
Well, whatever the case, the call's been made, and it will stay as a racing incident for the time being. We are lights out, 1 to go. It'll be 11 lap dash to the end of this race. And we should be able to make it to the end now on fuel. This is now just a heads-up grudge match.
Yep, it's all that you got on the table. All the chips are down on the table. 11 laps to go. Nothing between these guys coming to the end of it. The gloves are going to be off, to say the least. I think Gudger has basically no chance from third. He's on the older tires. But you got to look at Brennan Gregg. He was the one dominating this race. He's got newer tires than these guys. Can he get by the 429 as soon as possible?
Pace truck will make that sharp left-hand dive into pit road. Paul Witt opting for the outside line for the restart. And we are going to take it once again back to racing action. Green flags up in the air, 11 laps to go.
Paul Witt with the jump that allows the outside line to get going, though that's not what he wants to see. I might have picked the bottom just to put Greg further back on the outside behind another guy, but that's not meant to be. He's going to flow into second place. He's got the run on the outside. Brennan Gregg on the newer tires, up to second, looking to take that lead back.
Brennan Gregg looking for the inside line, can't quite get there. Witt hangs on for now, but the 27 is pushing, puts the nose to the inside line, side by side, as they work off of turn number 4, down to 1.
Greg with the newer tires, he's trying to get it done right here, right now. Greg might slide up, a little bit of loose condition. Duda almost spinning further back, might touch the grass, not gonna get into it. He gets off fine. Witt's gonna hang on to the lead, and Zane Bailey, where did he come from?
Zane Bailey trying to charge back to the point. He's trying to see if he can launch himself in there and drive that one in deep, trying to push out. Witt slides across the nose. Greg takes it down low, and the 27 machine gonna drive that one to the point. He leads this lap in the line, but Paul Witt still fighting back around the top.
Paul Witt got the huge side draft coming out of turn number 4, got the run. Brennan Gregg stuck down on the bottom of 1 and 2 again. It hasn't worked out great for Greg so far tonight. 9 laps to go, a better run this time from the 27. Zane Bailey a little bit better, both behind him. Does he look to the inside? He might look for second.
Zane Bailey seeing what he can do. He's going to shove that one down the bottom side of 3 and 4. Zane Bailey goes 2 for 2. Bailey back to the point after we thought he was out of it.
Brennan Gregg gave a shot to Paul Witt in the middle of 3 and 4 that let Zane Bailey flow through to the race lead, and he's just trying to scoot away. I don't think he has new enough tires. Greg should still have the tire advantage over Bailey, but Bailey scoot away.
That dirty air, though, it can be a killer. We'll see how this is going to pan out. Paul Witt spins down into the infield. He's going to recover it, but a moment for Witt is going to put him down and out of the fight for the win.
Oh my God, Zane Bailey had tires left. He had saved a set of tires for this restart. He had it all planned out. Zane Bailey was playing 4D chess. He's on the newest tires in the field, and he's in the lead.
Right now, Bailey way out in front. Take a look what happened to Paul Witt. Loose off the top of turn 2. Down into the grass. Great job to recover that truck. He now runs in that 7th spot, and now nothing to stop Zane Bailey from walking this one off.
When did Zane Bailey save an extra set of tires? Did he not take tires on his second pit stop of the night whenever everybody else did? I mean, what a strategy call from Zane Bailey to save himself a set just in case. It looked like he might have had this race won regardless. Instead, he gets a gift out of that caution with that set still sitting behind pit road wall. What a job from the 20. I thought there was no chance, and he's pulled it out of a hat.
Five laps to go, this time by at the line. Zane Bailey picks up that top position right here. Michael Gudger gets around Brandon Gruber for 4th. They're fighting it out for 6th on back. Paul Witt trying to hang on against Noah Swafford and George Rincon. Gruber getting in there on Gudger with Michael Gudger, the 64 entry, running this one out in 4th. At this point, they're only fighting for the last podium spot if they can even get there.
That's all they can fight for. I don't think Gudger's going to be able to do it. He's got the older tires, right? He's just kind of hanging on. So honestly, a good run from Gudger, able to hang on to the 4th place spot, if he is anyway. I mean, he's got the oldest tires in the field at this point. Heck of a job from the 64, just hanging on. Our top 3 looks pretty solidified, and it's one that I didn't expect coming into today. I did call that Zane Bailey was going to win this thing. I thought that he was going to be the guy. Didn't expect it to be off the crazy strategy that it's been so far. Brennan Gregg in 2nd was the fastest guy. He looked like he was the guy to beat. Got beat by strategy. Brennan Gregg's got to be crazy frustrated, and Duda has just run a good race all night. He's been in the top 5 all night, not really put a tire wrong, and he's found himself up in the top 3 coming to the end of this thing. Great job from everybody up towards the top. A couple different names that we don't normally see week in, week out.
3 laps to go in the TNGG IEL Truck Series before this series comes to a close and reworks itself into the Sim Racers Association Truck Series. Zane Bailey see if he can't take that last little bit of glory. 2 seconds clear. It would take a miracle or a mistake for Bailey to lose this race.
I just don't see it happening. He's stretched out that gap to 2 seconds, and he's coming to take 2 laps to go. Even if the yellow flag flies, he's got the newest tires in the field. He doesn't have to push that thing too hard. He can just coast on down to the checkered flag and take it. That 20, I mean, I just can't talk enough about the strategy play. To save a set of tires whenever we all thought that you had to take them before the time you did. What a job. It stayed on the lead lap while taking 1 less set of tires than everybody else. I mean, I can't say enough about the strategy. He needed the cautions to play into his hands, and they have. They played into his hands perfectly, and it's worked out absolutely great for Zane.
Zane Bailey failed to finish on the podium, on the top 10 only once this race, and it was all the way back at Iowa. His worst finish of the season was 11th. Now, apart from that one race, he has finished in the top 10 for every single race, bar one of the season. It has been one of the most consistent drives we have seen in TNGG history. And today, he's going to get set to take his 3rd race win. He won the season opener at Daytona way back in February. He'll win the season finale as he works out of turn number 4, securing his 2nd place in the championship. Zane Bailey takes his 3rd win of the season at the Worldwide Technology Raceway.
What a decision from Zane. It worked out for him absolutely fantastically. What a race. Through the entire thing, right, it was completely green for the first 120 or so laps. And even then, it didn't become a caution fest. It became a strategy fest, like we saw all a night long. Absolutely love what these guys do with the fuel strategy, or the fuel numbers, and then how many tire sets you have behind the pit wall. That made this race 10 times more interesting. Hats off to the admins of the league for setting up this championship race. So perfect to have such a crazy strategy race down to the end that saw Zane Bailey bring in across the checkered flag to take the final trophy of the season.
He's going to burn it down in front of Madison, Illinois, and what a drive it was with the 20 machine with an underhanded pit call that none of us saw coming. And he is going to be able to celebrate big tonight, taking his 3rd race win of the season. And with this final championship run, 15 top 10 finishes in a 16-race championship, 3 of those being wins, and another 10 of those being top 5s alongside, well, no poles, but still, despite that, that record firmly cements him as a championship contender for season number 6 once we rework into the Sim Racers Association. We'll take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. What a wild way to close out a season, and a phenomenal way to close out the season as well. Taking the race win, it is Brennan Gray. It's going to be Zane Bailey able to take this one home. Brennan Gray brings it up in the number 2 spot with Jim Duda down to round out the podium. Michael Gutcher finishes 4th. Brandon Gruber in 6th. Paul Witt could have finished on the podium, but a little mistake costs him big. He'll finish back in 6th with Swafford, Rincon, McRoberts, and Slagle rounding out the cars on the lead lap.
Thomas Lane Jr. finishes in 11th with John Holliday in 12th. John Bullata Jr. 13th. Mike Allen 14th. Zachary Groover rounds out the top 15. Aaron Raymond in his championship season rounds it out in a pretty poor way, back in 16th, but he's still got that championship to hang his hat on. Robert Amarl in 17th. Joshua Jernigan in 18th. And RJ Buchanan rounds out the 19 car field.
Bottom 2 drivers did not start this race, and 2 yellow flags will take us all the way home and in towards victory lane this afternoon. Let's take a rundown and give a chit-chat here to the folks that finished this race up on the podium, and we'll start it off first and foremost with the driver that takes his 3rd race win. It is Zane Bailey, able to walk home this afternoon. Bailey, what a wild strategy. None of us saw this one coming. Walk us through it.
Yeah, when I saw it, we only had 2 additional sets of tires. I know that you really want to save it late, and we had quite a bit of fall off. So I saved a set of tires, and that worked out.
Overall, the championship this season, you could not have hoped for a better, you couldn't have hoped for a better championship run this afternoon. I mean, we look at the season as a whole. You made every single race, 15 top 10s, 3 wins, 10 top 5s. It is a phenomenal streak for you. Does this mean you are firmly going to be back to race for a championship next season?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess with that, we look to, I guess, the next series up on Saturday nights. It's the SRA Street Stock Series, obviously very different beast of the trucks. Are we going to end up seeing you wandering through and competing in that championship as well in October?
I don't know. I really haven't raced yos in a while.
Well, hopefully we'll see you out there, but if not, then a big congratulations for you this afternoon, and we'll get set to see you when we go racing not too far from now over in 2025 for the trucks.
Yep, thank you.
Zane Bailey takes us home with his third race win on the season. That'll bring us on down to the driver that finishes in the number 2 spot. He led so much of this race and was looking to be a favorite to win. Comes up just short. Austin, you're standing by with Brennan Gregg.
Yeah, Brennan, I mean, it looked like you had the pace to win this thing. You look like the fastest truck out on the field, so it's got to be a little frustrating to lose this one out to strategy. I mean, were you just hoping this thing was going to run green to the end? Because you looked like you were the fastest truck under normal circumstances.
Honestly, I thought it was going to run green to the end, considering that we made it, 120 laps without wrecking anyone. And then just 2 right there back-to-back kind of destroyed any strategy that I had. Then Zane kind of just got the advantage from staying out a little bit longer.
Does it still give you a little bit of a confidence boost to come in here? And not only, I mean, it's not like you were just barely beating these guys. You know, over the course of the long run, you were absolutely laying it to them, lapping up to 6th place in the field. I mean, does it at least add a little bit of confidence behind the helmet of the 27 going into next season to be able to, you know, put on such a strong race at the end of this year?
Yeah, definitely a confidence booster pace-wise. Just I think a lot of that was also destroyed when all the cautions happened and all the circumstances in the middle of that. Not the first time it's happened, so just got to come back next season.
When you had the ridiculous long run pace tonight, what made you just so good on the long run? What made you be able to save those tires better than anybody else in the field? And what made you so daggum quick that would have seen you in victory lane if the strategy didn't rear its ugly head into it?
I have no idea. I don't know if it was downshifts or if it was just throttle control, but it just felt a lot more stable compared to what I was seeing from Aaron and Zane, especially.
Well, Brennan, congratulations on bringing it home in 2nd place tonight. Looking forward to seeing what you can do next season whenever, you know, we go racing in the street stocks come November.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, that was your 2nd place finisher, Brennan Gregg. Next up, I believe Nolan's going to try to get in touch with Jim Duda to give our 3rd place finisher a little bit of a talking to.
We certainly will. We'll try to get in touch with Jim Duda here this afternoon, and well, I'm not seeing him hanging around, so it looks like
I'm seeing him. I'll pull him up.
Oh, there we go. We found Jim Duda.
I can't scroll while I do this, so he's hearing a lot of.
We're making progress. There we go. We're gonna get Jim Duda up here at the broadcast booth. It's your 3rd place finisher here this afternoon, and well, Jim, I think a surprising podium for you. I mean, you were fighting it out with Paul Witt there for that 3rd spot. All of a sudden, he loops it. Gives it to you on a silver platter. So walk us through this final race here tonight.
Paul and I were setting ourselves up for 1 and 2. I'm not going to say which one was going to get 1 and 2. I believe we were catching Zane, and that darn caution came out. And the best I could probably hope for was a 3rd place with that run. I'd like to thank my wife for letting me do this on Saturday night. Nolan, Austin, you guys do a great job, Green Flag TV. I think we got the team championship. I'd like to thank Thomas and my teammates for doing a hell of a job this year.
Well, obviously for you, it's a fantastic way to finish out the season, right? Taking that podium and a very strong finish for you. We look forward, obviously, to SRA and what they're going to be doing throughout the course of the coming year. Street stocks are coming up. The new truck series won't be back until 2025. So what's next for you in the SRA community?
We're going to be running some of the Blitz coming up here. And I'm still driving for Thomas in the SRA. Hopefully we have a lot better luck in that next league and next year than we did this year. I felt like I thought I had some chances at the short track races, and for some odd reasons, I made mistakes. I got into it with a couple other drivers. You know, it's racing, right?
It certainly is, and for you, this championship has definitely been one to remember, and what a splash you've made in the first season of competition with these guys, and very much looking forward to see what you're going to be able to do. If not in the Street Stock Series, then certainly when we return for the trucks next year. Congratulations on taking that final podium, and well, we'll get set to see you whenever we see you on the track next.
You bet. Thanks, Nolan. Have a good night.
Jim Dudon joined us up here this afternoon, finishing this race. 3rd place on the podium. What a drive. What a race that was to close everything out here, Austin. And that race, I don't think could have gone any better than that for a season finale. Of course, you got Aaron Raymond taking that championship at the end of the night. He took it last week. There is a special plaque that is given out to the champion, and, well, it's got Thomas's name on it. It was a placeholder, but that is a plaque that Aaron Raymond is going to be having shipped over to him now that his championship is official. Zane Bailey finishing 28 points behind him at the end of the night. But it's a pretty good plaque. I think that's one I'd hang on the wall.
Yeah. A nice little trophy to commemorate the championship. I like that. Aaron Raymond's going to be getting that in the mail, so that's pretty cool.
It certainly is, and well, I guess with that is about all the time we are going to have for one night. What a race, what a wild season this has been. And of course, we want to thank everybody for watching along, for being along with all of us. Do not forget, check out the High Tide Racing and Racing Designs Cup Series when they return on Monday night for the final race of the regular series season, going to be running out at Concord, North Carolina to reset the top 12 for the playoffs, as well as that, the Beer League, with their penultimate race of the season coming at you on on Wednesday night at 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, if you want to check out more about who we are and what we can offer you, find us today at www.greenflytv.com. Want to once again thank the TNGG IEL Truck Series and all of their competitors for having us on board for what has been an absolutely wild season of racing action. We want to thank, of course, Network Alliance of Veterans and Admin Box for coming on board to sponsor what has been a phenomenal season of action. We hope they'll be back in full force again for season number 6 when we return. SRA will return in October when they go racing for the SRA Street Stock Championship, with the trucks not returning all the way until the first week of January come 2025. So it's a long hiatus, but don't worry, we'll be back with some good old short track racing action in less than 6 months here. My name is Nolan Rebel alongside Austin Edstrom. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all in the fall.